Hi, I just want to record a short video here about my book, and this book is called Stolen Intellect. Stolen Intellect, Recovering the Missing Link to Generational Health. And in this book, and we talk about generational wealth quite a bit, but what about generational intelligence, and what about generational good health? Because most people think diseases run in their family, and I'm here to say diseases don't run in our family, deficiencies run in our family. And so I'm at this point where I really would love for us as a people. There's like 6-7 billion people on the planet, and we believe this. We believe in the disease model to address our health, but then there's a different way to address our health. There's a deficiency model. That's what I call it. I call it a deficiency model, because once you address a deficiency, then there is no disease. And so I figured this out when my son was born with they call it mental retardation. And it took me 16 years trying to understand, what happened with my son. Why was my son born with a learning disability? And so what I did after extensively researching, I heard a doctor Dr. Brownstein say that most children with learning disabilities have an iodine deficiency. So I began supplementing my son with iodine. And so and then around 16 years old, like I said, his neurons in his brain started firing, and he started understanding, and he was remembering, and he was retaining, and he went back to school answering questions, and he started drawing. He started doing things that he had never done before, because now his brain was finally getting the nourishment that he had always needed. Then at the same time, I was supplementing my son. I started taking supplements too as his mom, because I was really fatigued. Apparently I was having thyroid issues and I didn't know it. And then I started paying attention to where we live. And so in my research, I had to backtrack that I'm from a region that is a thyroid region. And I went to school, high school and college, and no one had ever explained this to me before like this. So there are regions in the world, in Finland, in Northern Europe, in Central Africa, in Southern Canada, in Northern United States. So there are regions in the world where we live that our thyroid is going to be compromised. And when a person's thyroid is compromised, it could compromise our thinking. It can being deficient, especially being iodine deficient. It could from top to bottom. It can first have you think slower, process slower. That's why you get people from the ocean regions that, I don't want to say they're smarter than other people, but their brain is more nourished than a person's brain who does not live closer to the ocean. Therefore, when you don't live close to the ocean, you got to supplement with the ocean. And so in this book, there are children who began to supplement with the ocean, and their thinking improved. And that's what happened to my son. His thinking and his processing of information began to improve, to the point that my son, that they wanted me to abort, that I talk about in this book, he now works 2 part-time jobs, has his own debit card, and those jobs he found himself. He creates music. And then I'm realizing that no children have to be born with a learning disability or struggling in school. Generational genius and generational good health was all of our divine birthright that I say was stolen. And so that's why I created the book called Stolen Intellect, because this is information that we all need. Not only there are testimonies in this book, for example, of a 2-year-old child, and their parent is saying that their child is struggling with understanding potty training. He just wasn't getting it. And then their child was struggling in his communication, and they couldn't understand what their child was saying. And so I said, give your child the supplements that I have in this book. And so they began to give him the supplements, and in like 2 weeks, I'm like, how's your baby doing? They like, we can understand his communication. He's understanding potty training. There are testimonies in this book of children who have been nourished their whole life with the right supplements. And these children are a genius when it comes to math. One young lady that's in this book, she was taking her supplements, and since she was a little girl, and by the time she graduated high school, she had graduated with her high school diploma, and 2 weeks later, she also got her associate degree from college because she was in a dual enrollment program. And that's what I mean when I say a well-nourished brain has the capacity to hold large volumes of information. And so in this book, I talk about school systems around the world, because what we've been doing differently than everybody else is that we've been nourishing systems and not our children's IQ or their brain. And see, there are certain foods that we eat in the United States specifically that requires us to detox every day. So that means the brain has to be detoxed every day, and the body, because there's chemicals in our food, like fluoride is in our toothpaste that is toxic. There's potassium bromate that's in our food that we feed our children. That's that new car smell, y'all. And so when we get a brand new car and we're engulfed in that new car smell, those toxic chemicals are also going in our children's body, and it's breaking down their immune system. And so there's a way to detoxify this potassium bromate and mercury and lead and cadmium and chlorine when our children swim in pools. These chemicals don't belong in the body, you guys. And so they have to be detoxified. But anyway, when you start your children on mineral supplements early in life, it nourishes their brain and detoxifies their brain early. So I take you on a tour around the world in my book, and I show you these other children in like Finland, why Finland is number 2 in the world in education, why they have a 99% class rate, what supplements they're taking, in Japan that makes Japan number 6 in the world in education, what supplements are they taking in Senegal that makes Senegal number 1 in Africa in education. Why do they have generational genius and generational intelligence? And why over here in the United States they say that we are struggling with our children are struggling, their IQ is lower than it ever has been. There's a reason why our children's IQ is low. It doesn't matter what school you go to. You can go to the best school in the world. The school system doesn't have anything to do with it. Not really. That's why we've been nourished. Because most of these other countries, they've been nourishing their children's brain that by the time their children start school at 7 years old, by the time their children start school, their children already know how to read. Why? It's not because the school that they went to, because they're not even in school. So it's not the teacher they had. It's not the school that they went to. It's how their brain was nourished, right? And so there are certain supplements it's mandatory that we take. We miss a whole step. We just send our children to school. We don't nourish their brain. We don't do any of that stuff. We don't even know how to nourish their brain, because we used to have a iodine program in this country. We don't have an iodine program in this country. So in here, I show you all the different supplements to take, how all of these children's IQ improve. And this is not just about children. This is about men's health too, because right now the erectile dysfunction rate is 32 million. 32 million men around the world have erectile dysfunction. And that number is anticipated to increase to 325 million. And so I talk a little bit about that because and the reason that I talk about it is because men, just because you're older, you came through the womb of a woman. And if that woman's womb was toxic, because of all of these heavy metals, it affects you early in life and later in life too. And then women, when it comes to our breast health, you're right, being mutilated and calling it surgical mutilation. The nature already has minerals in place to detoxify and rinse your insides out. So you can be rinsed out from the inside. Your responsibility is to wash your outside. The nature's responsibility is to detoxify you and rinse you from the inside. Because what cancer really is, y'all, it's an accumulation of heavy metals that are either in the brain or in the breast or in the body. Nobody goes around and be cutting off people's brain and cutting out stuff, and they're cutting off women's breasts, and it's a terrible thing. And there's a nature. And so anyway, back to the book. So in the book, I mentioned briefly a woman that had lumps in her breast that had been there for 2 years. And she was scheduled for a biopsy. I told her what to put on her breast, what supplement to put right on the breast. She didn't even have to just take it, just put it on there. And that's exactly what she did. And when she went for her biopsy, when she went for her biopsy, guess what? There was no need for the biopsy because the lumps that had been there for 2 years were gone. Right? And that was 5 years ago, and they're still gone. Right? So this is a book about Mother Nature and how Mother Nature has the keys to our health. But for some reason, we were disconnected from Mother Nature, and we just been relying, instead of on Mother Nature and divine intelligence, we've been relying on artificial intelligence and just prescription drugs to get us through. And that's not the answer. If Mother Nature created us, then Mother Nature has the solutions to heal us. And the solutions are in this book. And this book is worldwide distribution. It's on, you can pick the book up on Amazon. You can pick the book up at Book Baby, where it was published. You can go there and buy a copy of the book. You can get the book on Kindle. And then after that, there's a t-shirt, because this book is really to create a movement, how to nourish our children's brain. And so when you get to the back of the book, you can see like the websites, for the t-shirts and stuff like that. Because y'all, there are 2 billion people who are mineral deficient, and I can't get the word out by myself. So I need you all, because our intelligence is being stolen. Our health is compromised for no reason. And you can get your health back, and you can help your children and grandchildren become the genius that they were supposed to be. Generational genius and generational good health is our birthright. So this is my book called Stolen Intellect, Recovering the Missing Link to Generational Health. It's an easy read, it's a good read, and you guys are going to love the book. Please pick up a copy of this book. One lady even suggested that every woman should buy a book, or somebody should buy a book for every woman, because at the end of the day, it's about all of us. It's about men's health, women's health, but we got to get the women's health together, because as I have a quote in the book that says, a nation will rise no higher than where they place the womb of a woman, right? And so got to be careful with our wombs. We got to know how to nourish our wombs. That includes the womb and breast, because boys and girls, babies, communities, generations are coming through our wombs. And so we have to first know how to nourish our wombs, nourish our breasts, and nourish our children, boys and girl children, so that they won't have erectile dysfunction, because that job starts when you don't know about vitamin D in the very first year of life. It sets your children up for autoimmune. And so then you could have a baby, and your baby boy mom can grow up and will never be able to have a healthy sexual relationship, because he'll always have erectile dysfunction from the time he's a teenager, especially if that diabetes type 1 kick in, and then and definitely not diabetes. There's answers for all of this stuff, y'all. We don't have to be mutilated, and we don't have to deal with erectile dysfunction. Mother Nature has a way, has solutions for us, right? So get this book, Stolen Intellect. I wrote this book for you all. I could have easily paid $2,500, or charged $2,500, for coaching fees. I didn't want to do all that. I gave you everything that you need for your breast health, erectile dysfunction, and to nourish your children's. We all need the same thing. Our flesh is our flesh. Minerals. We all need minerals. This body, the heart, the hair, all of it needs minerals, right? This shoulder, when we have rotator's cuff issues, it's just minerals deficiency, you guys. Take care.